Okay. Item number 13, which is the defibrillators.
Obviously, Ken, before he resigned, was looking into the purchase of 2 defibrillators. I haven't got any paperwork or anything back from Ken, but he has said that if someone's going to take that over, he'll do a handover and sit and talk them through everything. So we need someone to decide to move forward with this.
I would be happy to take that on, but only on the understanding that Ken can bring me up to pace, because I wasn't involved in any of the negotiations. So if he would be prepared to do that, then I'll...
Yeah, if I contact him and...
Ask him to contact me.
Yeah, I'll give him your email address.
Well, he should
have it, yeah.
Give him my mobile number as well if you want to, that's fine. I'll have an initial chat with him, and if I think it's okay that I can take it on, I'll take it on.
Okay. So I'll leave it on the agenda for next month.
Yes, for me to come back. Hopefully I'll speak to him by then and I'll know what's happening.
Yeah, he said he's quite happy to sit down with him and just go through where he's got to.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'll take it on. I think it's a really good resource for the village. So.
Absolutely. Mr. Chairman, are we in possession of them?
No, they haven't been purchased yet.
They're not purchased?
No, it's to actually negotiate to buy them and sell them.
It's all been agreed, the costs and everything.
Yes.
But that, I think that's...
But I suggest to you that over time, there may be an in-season inflation.
It was this year, it's not sort of years ago. He's been dealing with this up until he left, which was, August. So hopefully there won't be any major changes.
No.
It's not too cold. Yeah.
Okay. Item number 14, which is the wreath and donation for Remembrance Sunday.
Yeah, obviously, Remembrance Sunday, we always have a wreath, which costs £18.50. But the Parish Council historically has always added a donation on the top of that for the Royal British Legion. So, first off, how much do you want to have as, in total? Was it?
Varies. Some years we make it. Some years we round it up to 75, and other years we round it up to 100.
Yeah.
Just depends on how the conversation
Was
goes.
it the same as last year?
So,
What was it last year?
I think last year it was 75. I would need to check.
Okay, should we take that as a...
Same as last year.
Yes, same as what it was last year. Okay.
Same as last year.
Right, so can someone...
Fred
You're
is-
going to...
Yeah,
You're
both.
proposing on
Jackie
second.
seconded.
Right, and the second part of that is usually the chairman would actually lay the wreath if he can't do it. So I need someone to attend the service on your go. Because I need to let Mike Bishop know. He said to let you know the wreath will be. It will be in the church porch at the beginning of the procession to the War Memorial. Our wreath will be there for you to pick up. Alright.
Okay, item number 15, which is the permission for improvements to the War Memorial.
Yeah, obviously I've circulated a letter to everyone from the History Society. They want to undertake some work at the War Memorial to make it more disabled friendly. They intend to do the work in 2 phases. The first being to replace the gravel paths, which surround the War Memorial with brick. And then the second one is to construct a ramp and access path, just to make it easier to actually get to the memorial from the church and the road. Also in phase 1, they wanted to take the opportunity to get the names of men and women that took part in World War 1 and 2 engraved. It seems that phase 1 is going to cost in the region of £8,000. So I suppose really there's 2 parts to this. Firstly, to the parish, as we own the War Memorial, do we want this work to be done there? And if we do, then we need to give the History Society permission to progress. obviously because of the back implications on it and it being ours, what's happened in the past is any grants they've got, they've given to us, haven't they? And then we've
Yeah, we effectively commission the work and receive a grant from the History Society. But we own the land, it's our property, it's all part of the community contract, so the work would be done by the parish council and we can claim the VAT back. That's all perfectly in order. It just so happens that we're asking outside people to control the work for us, so it's under our control.
Obviously, at the end of the letter, you will have noticed they've already put in a grant application this year, but they have said about whether there might be any additional money towards this. But I've said that obviously that's something that F&GP need to discuss, really.
They're going to have a fundraising, aren't they?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
There'll be lots of things.
So you know, so much agreement.
Yeah, and it was,
which I think
by
is
a
a
brick.
good idea, yeah, by a
Yeah.
brick.
I did notice something about Section 106 monies as well, which was that mentioned on that or something else?
They didn't get.
No, they didn't get that.
They didn't get it.
They didn't get it.
Can I ask how much they're asked? So you say it's 8,000
For the first phase.
And how much are they asking when they put in for a grant, the normal grant from us?
They've asked for a grant for about £500 or £600 for some archiving software,
Yeah.
which is nothing
Because
to
they
do
sent
with this
the link
project.
round, yeah.
And the point of course is we can't give a grant for this work because we're effectively giving ourselves a grant.
Yes.
So what we would actually be doing is saying, we're going to do this work, it's going to cost £8,000. And if the History Society only raised £6,000, then we're still going to have to cover that £2,000 because it's our work. But that's a matter for F&GP because this is all going to go into next year, so it'll be part of the budget discussion for next year.
Did I read it right when I looked at that letter that they were asking our permission to
Yeah, they need
raise the funds?
they need our permission to do the work.
And
yeah.
to also to
Yeah.
run the fundraising
Yeah,
events. I
yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
So that's what we should be voting on at the moment.
Yes.
I mean, is
Yeah.
just that, isn't it?
Yeah.
As you say, the rest of it will go to F&GP.
But I think, I don't know whether also they need our permission to do the work, because obviously if they put in grants for something that they don't own, they need to
Right,
be able
yeah.
to prove they've got our permission to be doing it.
Right.
I would think.
Okay.
You do have to.
Yeah, yeah.
As I read the letter, they're basically saying, would we be willing to let them do the work should they raise the money?
Yeah.
So they're not asking our permission to raise the money, they're asking our permission to then spend it on the war memorial.
Oh, right, okay. Thank you, Mike. I obviously misunderstood that. So that should be the vote that we take tonight then, shouldn't it?
Is there any other points on that before Jackie makes that proposal?
I walked into that one.
So do you want to give us the wording for your proposal?
Yeah, whatever you just said. No,
So that the parish council be willing to allow them
to
to complete the work.
to complete the work and to take the steps to raise the funds with our support.
And also FGMP will report back to us on...
That's a separate issue.
Yeah, that's a separate, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
But
I
then
said,
finance will deal with that at their
Yeah.
meeting.
That's
So you're-
that's for the budget
That's
consideration
my
anyway.
proposal, that we support the History Society. Yeah.
Right, so Councillor Janetta Sams has seconded that. So is everyone in favour? Right, medical
Medical
centre.
centre, over to Amanda.
Right, obviously, historically there's been quite a lot of discussions with the medical centre about the expansion that's going to be needed, obviously because of all the extra housing. Since the change of parish council, Gary had taken over those discussions. Obviously he's now left the parish council. I met with him and Diane, who is the practice manager, to discuss where we were at with Section 106 monies that are available for the work that needs to be done. Gary offered to continue on behalf of the parish council with those discussions because we need to meet with the estates, NHS estates people, for them to oversee the work, because obviously depending on what sort of doctor you've got, you need a certain size room. However, since that meeting, Diane has come back to say that they feel that Gary doesn't really represent the landlord anymore, and that she feels it should be current councillors overseeing it, especially as we are going to need to have meetings with third parties. So she feels that it needs to be a councillor that is actually at those meetings rather than someone acting on our behalf. So she said obviously if we feel different then she's happy to discuss that further, but she doesn't feel. So then that means that I need at least one councillor to help with these discussions because they have been rather involved.
Could you, describe really the degree of work that Gary put into it? What was it?
Well, today, no, we're not. No, basically, the next phase that where we're at now is we need drawings drawn up that incorporate everything they need. What we've said is because of the way the Section 106 money is coming forward, they're going to need up to 200,000. At the moment, off the top of my head, there's about 65,000 sitting there waiting. With the money coming from the CTRL site, it should give them enough to do the first phase. Because what we've said is because it's such a big thing and waiting for all this money to come through, we've got to try and work out phases because they want to have like a dispensary, they need a quieter area for their reception because at the moment people can't have any confidentiality. So it's a reworking of the internal front area with a dispensary, having like a sluice room for the nurse. It's quite involved. So, but we need drawings drawn up to be able to get builders to quote for the work, to then get the money released. You know, so it's quite there's a lot involved moving that forward.
Yeah. Do not the NHS architects create what they want?
No, there doesn't seem to be an NHS architect. No. And the people that we were originally having all these discussions with, that department just doesn't exist anymore. It's kind of a new department, and the person that was overseeing it moved into the new department. They've now left. So when we do get to the point of having these discussions, it's with a completely new set of people as well. So it does feel, to begin with, we're going to be going around in circles a little bit.
But the councillor's role would be to push all those things along and make sure that everything's happening in the right
To
way.
divvy them up, basically, because it is a bit of a nightmare. Sorry, I haven't solved that very well, but that's how it is.
So
That's so nice one, pretty much.
the design would extend into the car park and take up some car
It will,
parks.
yeah, there will have to be some at the front, but and outside as well potentially, because it doesn't look like they can do much going up.
Does that have implications? Because there is a complicated relationship between ourselves, the doctor's surgery, and the Digital Trust, isn't there?
Potentially, but
So-
until we get some drawings put together, we don't really know what we're dealing with. We don't know the extent of the expansion they need for the amount of residents.
So, who put the drawings up? You say we need to see drawings. Who makes the drawings?
Well, Gary had spoken to the architect who had originally done the plans for that building and put them on notice that potentially we were going to need their services
I see.
to come back and work out with NHS estates and the doctors how they can incorporate everything that they want.
So it would be Doc Hagan who
Yeah, he's been at the meetings.
specifies what he wants. And the
Yeah, we've
architect
already
puts
got a
together
rough.
his-
We've already got a rough drawing, but obviously it's kind of, well, we are going to need this, but it's not properly. You know, it needs to be properly drawn out.
So we've got nothing to do with that. That responsibility belongs to somebody else?
Well, we do have, because it's our building.
Yes,
so,
I
yeah,
know,
so we
but-
have to be involved.
Yes, I
But obviously
appreciate that.
they will
Yeah.
tell us the specifics of what is needed, because they know the
That's what I'm
sizing.
getting at.
and
Yeah, that's what I'm
But
getting
Yeah.
we need to commission.
That's why we need to be there.
at. Mm.
That's, in the first instance, Gary has done some work on this, and I'm sure that he'll be more than happy to, whoever we decide on who volunteers for this time. Gary can talk you right through up until we are at the moment, so although he wouldn't physically be at the meetings, I'm sure that it would be helpful, extremely helpful.
So
Yeah.
there is an architect on board.
Well, there
relation
is one. Whether we, depending on how much potentially the costs are going to be, it might be that we want to find out costs from other people. We might want to shop around a little bit, but there is one in the sideline when we're ready, if we want to use it.
And these preparatory costs, they've got to be added to.
What the discussion so far with Maidstone has been that we would be looking, or no, not with Maidstone, with the estates people, is that we would want the cost of the drawings and everything to come out of Section 106 money. Because, you know, it's not possible we can really help them at this point, and obviously they haven't got loads of spare cash, so we would be looking for some Section 106 to be released for that. Because we know that there is money sitting there at the moment from the Hollies development and the Tide Muse, the small little. So there is money sitting in Maidstone waiting to be used.
Okay, so what we need is somebody that's a volunteer to help to take this forward, or one or two people.
Well, I'd certainly be of assistance.
No, great assistance, Fred.
I think we should have more than one. I think we should have two.
Matt, would you like to join in?
I'll beg him up.
Yeah, okay. Lovely, thank you.
Absolutely.
And obviously we'll all be involved to a certain degree.
Well, yes,
when we
yeah, I
come
mean-
to these meetings. So.
So everyone,
Is there a projected timescale?
it's quite imminent. We need to really get moving on this, because obviously with the houses going in, I know that there are capacity issues, because I have people already saying that they're struggling to get appointments and that. So we do really need to start pushing them, which Diane, since the meeting that obviously I had with her and Gary, we've had some discussion with her trying to find out who we're going to move this forward with at sort of the estates people. So yeah, there has been discussion going on in the background before tonight to try and find someone to get this moving, to get a meeting. We've always had the meetings in the office just because it's easier for them to come to us, because Diane can just come in with Dr. Hagan when he's not got surgery.
Okay.
Okay. Item number 17 on the agenda is traffic and parking in West Street. And Councillor Allardyce, it's back to you again.
Oh, that's wonderful. Right. As far as I can establish, the Maidstone Borough Council and the police will take no action unless there's a serious incident has occurred. Now, it's beggars belief, really. So, I would like to have comments from Kent Fire and Rescue and the bus providers to look at the risk factor. So we're talking about risk there. Now, Councillor Sands and myself, we, as promised, we visited the Station Road businesses. And I'm delighted to tell you that the scaffolding company that run the huge, great big long articulated lorries loaded full of poles are relocating to Hampshire in November. That is the building that they've got. I mean, that's going to be quite a solution to their HGV problem. and that the building that they are occupying at the moment, we believe will be used by the adjacent company, which is they make medical instruments. Sol. No, it's not Sol. It's the other one. Bedfont. And they would take it over, and their vehicles would all only be light vans. We went to a number of businesses and explained the problems to each one. Lots of support that they say they're not really affected. They understand where we're coming from. The only business that really would be badly affected would be the Lemon Motors, because they love to park their customers' vehicles dead opposite their premises. Fair enough, they can. But that's the only business that's really been affected. We spoke to all the main people, and there doesn't seem to be any resolution from that approach. We were having a chat, and this is Tom and myself, and we wonder if Mike Curtin could seek contact details of the owners of the station car park, which is completely and utterly empty. And the reason for that is that they charge money. The object of the exercise to express our concerns that their car park is unused because their customers park in Station Road, thus aggravating the problem. I would quite happily park opposite Lemon Motors and walk up to the station if I lived in, say, Langley. So